for the first session is probably the nicest to bat when the sun's out and the ball doesn't do as much. But when it starts to get dark, especially during that twilight period, it gets very tricky. The light changes, it's difficult to sight the ball, and then under lights is like playing the first session in the morning. In a normal test match, the ball does tend to swing a lot. So I think it's a reversal of roles and something that you need to adjust to quite quickly as batsmen. Even though you might be set in the afternoon, but you have to really, take guard again and start from scratch in the evening, and understand that you probably have to be a bit more disciplined, bit more disciplined than you were in the day when things were probably easier with the bat. So these are the major differences. And similarly with the bowlers, the plan in the afternoons was to bowl a nice and consistent line and length, and then in the evenings, when the situation allowed us to, we attacked a lot more. So I think the same kind of template will be useful in this game as well, and these are the few differences from a normal test match scenario that we experience. That record means nothing to me. Records are something that are looked at from an individual point of view, and that's not what we play sport for. Whether it's individual records as a batsman or whether it's the number of wins as a captain, I'm doing a responsibility to the best of my abilities and my potential, and an absolute commitment for the team for so many years, and I would continue to do so till the time I play this game. So I'm just fulfilling my responsibility. None of the records are meant to be forever. These are very fickle things which probably look great from the outside comparing to individuals, and that's something that people on the outside love to do all the time, but that really doesn't matter to any of us, to be very honest, because the mutual respect and understanding and camaraderie that you have as teammates, or your ex-captain is something that you hold really closely to your heart, and I understand the importance and the significance of that. So that is always going to be way more important in my life than these milestones or these records. As I said, I'm doing my responsibility to keep Indian cricket on top, and I will continue to do so. And that should be the mindset of everyone playing for the team, and whoever in a few years down the line, whoever the next person who leads this team, should take Indian cricket forward as well. So yeah, I don't really pay attention to any other records. I'm not even aware of them when I step onto the field, to be honest. I'm told afterwards. By doing what we've been doing for years now, which is playing good cricket, our focus will solely remain on our team. Not really bothered about what the strengths and weaknesses of the English team are. We've beaten them in their home as well, where the ball does way more, and we have bowled them out every time. So we're not really bothered with that. It's just about playing well as a team. And yeah, there are many weaknesses in the opposition's side as well. If you are keen to exploit them, things can. If the seamer-friendly track is for them, it's for us as well. And we probably have among other teams the best bowling attack in the world. So we're not really bothered by what the ball might bring differently to the table. We're ready for anything that comes our way. No, according to me, no. Both are bizarre experiences for two quality sides. If you ask England the same question, do you think that you could be bowled out for 50 again? Their answer probably would be no, because you understand that on that particular day things just are meant to happen a certain way, and whatever you try to do, it's out of your control, and nothing seems to go right. And exactly what happened to us in Adelaide as well. Barring that 45 minutes of bad cricket, we dominated that test match as well. So we're very confident in terms of how we played the pink ball. Even in Australia, where the pitches were assisting their seamers, they were under the pump through that Adelaide game, and that 45 minutes where we were just blown away. There was literally nothing to come back into the game with. So yeah, we understand that quite well. From the outside, things are not as detailed or explained what happens in the change room, what the mindset of individuals is, but you understand exactly what went wrong on that day, and you brush it aside, which the team did beautifully afterwards from Melbourne Test, and ended up making a great comeback. So these are experiences for sure, not a hindrance, not something that is a mental scar, but something that you learn from, you move ahead, and you keep improving as cricketers and understand if it's a difficult situation again, how to apply yourself and probably get out of that tough situation. Look, I've known Ishant for many years now. He started playing state cricket with me from his first season onwards. We've been roommates for many years in state cricket, Ranji Trophy cricket. When he got selected for India, he was fast asleep in the afternoon, and I had to kick him off the bed to say that you've been selected, and he wouldn't believe me. So that's how far we go back, and I couldn't be happier for him. For playing 100 Test matches as a fast bowler is no mean feat, and especially playing in our conditions where things can get so difficult. But he persevered, he kept working hard, and that's been his essence from day one. Very hard-working guy, very honest about the game, about his abilities, about what he can bring to the table, and very self-assured. I was most excited to work with him and really bring the best out of him as an attacking fast bowler. And something that it clicked immediately, because he knew my mindset, he knows me inside out. There's big trust factor. I know him inside out. I know that he's going to respond to advice. He knows I'm gonna listen to his plans as well. So I think it's worked really well for both of us, not just for him as a fast bowler, but for me as a captain as well, to have that kind of experience and the kind of consistency he brings in with the attacking lines and lengths he bowls. I've just been very, very happy to see him really enjoy his bowling in the last 4 or 5 years and really become that stalwart of the Indian fast bowling group. So couldn't be happier for him. Really, really excited. I'm going to be present on the field when he plays his 100th game, and see that smile on his face and just run in and bowl will be great to watch for a dear friend of mine. Yeah, I think so. Crowd plays a massive role. The crowds really get behind us, and the difference of which we saw in the second test. The opposition does feel the pressure when you go to play in Australia, England, South Africa, New Zealand, anywhere. People are, I've experienced that as a batsman. We walk into the field and 30,000 fans are booing you, or clapping when the bowler's running into bowl. It does play on your head. So we would love for that atmosphere to be present, make life more difficult for the opposition and really get behind the team. That's what playing at home is all about. It's not only about the conditions on the field, but 50,000 people and their energy behind your team. It does push you in the right direction, and it does put a lot more pressure on the opposition. हमारे लिए काफ़ी गर्व की बात है कि सबसे ज़्यादा कैपेसिटी वाला स्टेडियम दुनिया में इंडिया में है, और हम पहला टेस्ट मैच खेलने वाले हैं उस पर। और एटमॉस्फेयर जब लोग आएंगे, स्टेडियम भरेंगे, वो एक्सपीरियंस उसके बाद ही आप एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं। लेकिन जो हमने देखा है अभी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वाइज और जो फैसिलिटीज़ प्रोवाइडेड हैं, जैसा स्टेडियम बनाया गया है, जैसे एरियाज़ डेजिग्नेटेड हैं, कमाल का स्टेडियम बना है। और हम लोग काफ़ी एक्साइटेड हैं, काफ़ी खुश हैं कि इतना बढ़िया, इतना सुंदर स्टेडियम हमारे देश में बना, और हम उस पर खेलने जाएंगे कल से।
We're gonna take our time with the limited information we have on this ground on pink ball cricket. We're going to make sure we give ourselves as much information as possible going into the game before we make that decision. I think having a real good understanding of what this pitch might look like tomorrow morning, and ahead of that first ball, it's changed quite drastically over the last few days. There's probably been a bit more live grass than previous wickets that we've seen out here, but it has got drier and drier as the days have gone, as you'd expect it to. So it's just having real clarity on what balance of attack we want, and as well utilising this practice tonight, seeing how much dew might play and how big a factor that might be in this test, and whether that alters things at all. Yeah, again, it'd be good to get through training tonight to have absolute clarity, but it's great to see him back bowling again. He adds to what is a very strong bowling group, very much a big part of what we're about, and about England cricket moving forward. To see him back in amongst things would be very exciting, and hopefully he is fit up for selection. As mentioned, he is world-class performer. He's got all of the skills. He can bowl high pace, swing it both ways, and obviously can make it talk off the seam as well. So along with the rest of the guys all in contention, it's a very exciting place to be, and to have now a battery of fast bowlers to choose from is where we want to be, and where we want to keep improving moving forward. Yeah, well, he's a world-class performer. I think it's been quite tricky for everyone, but as you mentioned, in particular the lefties against him, because of how skillful he is, how good his record has been against our left-handers, and well, in world cricket his record against left-handed batters. So he's a fine performer at home, and guys just have to keep working hard to try and figure out how they're going to score their runs. I think one thing that I watched how he played Leachy, for example, in the previous game, scoring that 100, how he used the crease to his advantage, not just coming down the wicket, but also getting deep in his crease and trying to make it very hard for Jack to bowl one length at him. Trying to mix his length up all the time. I think we've got to keep being proactive, being smart about how we're going to look to score our runs, and really make it difficult for their spinners to bowl 6 balls at us. As I mentioned previously when we've spoken to you, I think that's one thing that they did well, and one thing that we could have improved with the ball was the amount of times that we couldn't quite string a maiden together or bowl 6 balls at one batter, which I think they were very proactive with their batting. They managed to rotate strike very well. So they're all things that we can take forward as a batting group and that we can add to our own games and make it a little bit more tricky for them when we come to bat next time. The way that battle finished in the last game was probably one to Jack, so I think he'll gain a lot of confidence from that. And he's a fine player. He plays some extraordinary shots. It makes it very difficult for some bowlers to bowl at him, but more than anything, it's can we keep him quiet? Can we make it difficult for him to really take us on, and find ways of either getting him off strike or chucking one up in the air, running past one like he did in the last game. And that with Rishabh, he's extremely talented and he's got a great game, but he will give you a chance, and we just got to be ready to take that when it comes. Yeah, I think there's been a trend of the actual all of the pink ball test matches that there have been collapses on occasion. You look at the game that we played against the West Indies, and there was that collapse in the first innings, I think, of their innings. It seems to be a trend, and it's something that as a batting group you need to make sure that you stop. And I suppose one thing that stands out to me is that the vital first 20 balls, making sure you get used to the tracking the ball, get used to the conditions, and being very aware of how things can change throughout the day. It's not necessarily just been that one moment under lights or that twilight period that's had that effect. It's sometimes been right at the start of the game, in the morning session, late on in day 4, that these strange sort of passages of play have happened. So I suppose it's when you get that opportunity and you're on the right side of it, you're in the field, a ball in hand, you really get on the roll with it. You take every opportunity and chance, and you make that really count in your favour. Similarly, with a bat in hand, you just got to really make sure that those 20 balls you're fighting with everything you've got to get yourself in, get accustomed to the wicket, the conditions, and make sure that you build that partnership, which is so vital. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure at some point that the wicket will turn, but every test wicket does at some point, or the majority of test wickets do at some point. It's just when, and will it happen off the straight? Will it happen out the rough? It might be that this pitch deteriorates, in a similar fashion to the first one of the series. It might not. We've just got to be ready to react to it. And you know what? The fact that the guys are full of confidence and really excited to have potentially a big impact out here in India with ball in hand as a seam group is really exciting one. How we operate, I don't think changes. I think we've still got to look to build pressure for long periods of time, try and squeeze the game, make it very difficult for guys to score freely and score boundaries, and by doing that, build pressure at one end and on one batter and try and force an error. The fact that there might be extra lateral movement will obviously work in our favour as well. So that's in terms of tempering expectations. It is just simple game plans. The more that it's doing in your favour, I think Shane Warne mentioned it recently. Is as a spinner, the more it's spinning, the more defensively you bowl and the more you attack with the field. I think it's very much the same as for a seamer in similar favourable conditions. Well, yeah, it's a phenomenal stadium. I'm sure you're going to see some brilliant cricket over the years at this ground. It looks fantastic. So hopefully the wicket can produce some very good cricket, and the two sides can do that as well. I'm sure the atmosphere within will be electric. It was great to see fans back in the previous game. So I'm sure with the capacity of this ground, that noise will go up again, and that's what you want to be a part of these big games, be playing in these big stadiums, and be part of history, which is what this game is.